Will here, blogging at machineloveus.com. Back today with another video in the Casper series. Okay, so this video will concentrate on what I think Casper will be, which instead of a general purpose writing simulator or something like that, which has been done, which is being done by people less smarter than me, this is going to be a service that will help individuals automate a newsletter. So I'd like to start a newsletter, but there's just so much information that you can put in it, and it'd be really helpful to have something that can aggregate news, recent discussions, things like that. Why not then use that database of Reddit posts and discussions across all these different subreddits to write a newsletter on a theme that aggregates the most recent, say in the last week or the last 2 weeks, discussions about certain topics. So let's dive into that. Okay, so this is going to be Casper, and here I just have my Jupyter notebook with my in my environment. So I have a lot of these writing subreddits that I've been collecting data from, and I'm going to search through all of them to see what I can pull out, to see what people are talking about recently that's interesting. And so these are, writing motivation, writers keep writing, blogging is another big writing subreddit. Okay, so I'm just going to import some of the things that I need. And so I'm going to import Boto3, and then from Boto3 I'm going to import key and attributes, which I will use to query my database. I also like to import date time because I'm going to use it to find the most recent posts. Okay, and then DynamoDB, we set that up. We just, from Boto3 as a resource, we grab DynamoDB, and then we grab our table from it. You could do this in one line, but it's just neater in two. So we have articles, which is where all of these Reddit posts are being saved. If you're not aware of what is going on at this point, in previous videos, what I've done is grabbed posts out of Reddit and then stored them in this table in DynamoDB in AWS called articles. Okay, so let it set a time, like 2 weeks ago, which is going to be now. Minus time delta days equals 14. So that's 2 weeks ago, which is when we will start looking for articles. And then let's say that minimum, min upvote threshold. Let's just say upvote threshold. Naming things is really difficult, and let's set that at 25. You have to have at least 25 upvotes for us to be considering you in the newsletter. Okay, so then we instantiate an empty list. This is going to be the list that will append articles to that meet our preconditions. Our conditions are going to be conditions newsletter. One that more recent, and then cut off. Okay, and more than min upvotes. Okay, so let's just say this is cut off instead of 2 weeks ago, because we can make it whatever cutoff we want. And then there's an upvote. Let's call that min upvotes. Sorry. Okay, so if those conditions are met, then you are going to be in our subreddit. Okay, so let's go through. So what I have here is going to iterate over these subreddits, and let's print out the subreddit. Okay, and then what we can do is just separate these out. just so we have some space. Okay. And then what we're going to do is get the response, what I call it, which is I have an index on the articles table, which is by subreddit. I'm going to query by subreddit, right? So if we're going through blogging, we look up all the articles out of blogging into an items response, from response the items. And then for the articles, if it has a created UTC date. Now I added that fairly recently after realizing I hadn't put it in my table. So if the article has it, then what we can do is we can convert it with this line here to a date time piece that we can actually look at. So if we have saved when the Reddit post was made, then we could say if that date is greater than, if it meets our conditions, right? So let's put our conditions here. So our conditions were recent, which is that the date is greater than or equal to the cutoff, and if it has upvotes. So article.get ups is greater than or equal to the min upvotes. So if recent and upvotes, then let's take a look at it. Okay, so I'll look at the title and I'll look at the number of upvotes. And I'm going to separate out each of these articles. Let's just do that. And then I'm going to append it to my articles list. So let's see if this works. Okay, so we iterate. The first two, shut up and write, and writing prompts didn't have any that met those conditions. But then you get, you do get into writing prompts. Shut up and write did not, but writing prompts did. Writer motivation did not. Writing did. Self-publish, blogging. Okay, so we are getting a number of articles here that meet our cutoff. I don't even know what HFY is, but I forget what subreddit that is. Okay, so len of articles 46. So 46 meet our criteria. So I think that's a decent amount that we could use for a newsletter. So let's keep going. So we have all of these articles now. What I'm going to do is put them into a pandas data frame so I can look at them easier. Sometimes I just use pandas data frames to view data in a more coherent way. So I'm going to make a data frame. Now this is a list of dictionaries, so I can actually just directly port that into a data frame. And then when I look at it, it's right there. Okay, so here are all the articles, title, upvotes, all of the information about it. Okay, why don't we see how many articles we have of each from each subreddit. It seems like some are really outweighing the others. So screenwriting, HFY, keep writing, self-publish, writing, freelance writers, pub tips, bloggers, writers. I'm interested in what HFY is. Writing focus subreddit, welcoming all media, exhibiting the awesome potential of humanity. No, it's humanity. Yeah. Okay. Seems like a pretty big subreddit for writing. All right, great. So we have all of these articles. Other things that we could do, we can sort by upvotes, right? So subreddit and upvotes. So by each subreddit, we can take a look at them. And what this will allow us to do, which is nice, so sort values by subreddit. I have two keys that I'm sorting by, subreddit and then upvotes. And then putting them so that the articles with the most upvotes come first. Okay, and then if I group by with a head of .2, what I see is the top 2 most upvotes by each subreddit. Okay, so for each of these subreddits, I'm getting the 2 articles with the top upvotes, right? So if I didn't want a newsletter that was full of screenwriting posts, I could just take the top 2. Okay, so let's see. So this post is the top post from screenwriting. So if I just want a broad newsletter that has a broad view from different subreddits of what's going on, I can use pandas in that way. All right, so what do we have thus far? We have a pandas data frame that has all of these articles that meet our conditions. And what we can do now is sort and look through each of these to write our newsletter. We have the links there. We could review all of these articles individually, take a look at them, and then see what's worthwhile to put in there. But that is still not automated enough. I don't have enough time in the week to do that. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is figure out a way of taking all of this data and condensing it down more. I need to bring it down into a level that would be appropriate to put into a newsletter. And I'm going to do that by taking this pandas data frame and then extracting the information I want. So thank you for watching. Visit machinelovas.com for more articles and information. If you have any tips or tricks or recommendations for me, let me know. Liking and subscribing is always appreciated. And we will continue on in the next video on doing more to build out an automated process for our newsletter. We're going to move this out of a Jupyter notebook eventually. We're going to put it on Lambda. We're going to schedule it. And so newsletter automation becomes routine. Thanks for watching, guys.